to chant this for me while we get our warm-up, all right? We're going to go, here we go, evil, here we go. Oh, oh. All right, ready? Let's go. Here we go, evil, here we go. That's right.
2 hours later.
That sounds like someone is slapping the bag with a baseball bat.
Yeah, it's bad.
Oh,
Welcome to Kyle Anthony's UFC betting show. I am Kyle Anthony, and welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the prediction show for UFC on ESPN 10. Jessica I versus Cynthia Calvillo. We're going to talk about 3 free plays that we have on this card. I actually have 2 plays on the main event, which is going to be one that we will talk about first. Also want to let you know that I do have 3 plays loaded up on Wagertalk. Definitely take a look at that. Having a phenomenal year. Continually moving forward here. Plus 51% on clients' bankrolls this year. Having a phenomenal year. I'm going to go over, actually, normally I do the bet review show. I like to put that out on Sundays. A little too much partying and a little too much going on, hanging out with friends, so didn't have time to do it. But I want to take a little bit of time before we get into the 3 free plays for this Saturday. Talk about the 2 client plays that we did have. So we're first going to talk about the winner that we did have was between Neil Magny and Anthony Rocco Martin. We had Magny at a minus 140. He got us to cash in there, and the things that we liked about Magny was definitely going to be the cardio. That was something that I talked about in my write-up. You can definitely take a look at that up on Wagertalk. But it was going to be that cardio, the pushing forward, the volume, the reach. A lot of things that I liked about him. Even if it went to the ground, I liked Magny. Even if it got in the clinch, I still liked Magny. All the paths to victory pretty much were on Magny's side. Kind of surprised overall in the beginning that Magny didn't look to push forward. Thought he was going to do a little bit more of that. Didn't do it up until the end, and I think he was a little bit leery of what Rocco Martin could do in the clinch. But overall, Magny went out there, had a nice victory, put in a nice performance, almost put away Martin in that 3rd round, but that volume was there. That cardio really stood at the test throughout those 3 rounds, so he does get us to cash in on that one. The one that we didn't win was a disgrace with Chase Hooper against Alex Caceres. Now, this was a fight here that we got a good price on this at a minus 140. You did see that go all the way up to close to minus 200. So a lot of people were on Chase Hooper in this spot, and for a good reason. I mean, I know it wasn't actually a good showing by any stretch of the imagination. It was a horrible performance from Hooper. But Caceres is very susceptible to the takedowns. I mean, over and over again, people have been taking him down. You even look back at some of the guys that actually took him down are not that great of takedown ability. Caceres is very open to that. And I think the big difference in this fight was early on in that 1st round, Hooper just kind of getting his bearings. Caceres lands a nice shot, and that either broke his nose or whatever it may be, but from that first shot, he looked completely different. Didn't look to really pressure, even when he was just standing and striking a lot with Caceres, which is the only thing that Caceres has over Chase Hooper. If they got to the clinch, I still liked Hooper, but after that shot, it looked like pretty much his confidence went down. It looked like his strength was kind of sucked out of him. Looked terrible. Then he was pulling guard for most of the fight into that 2nd and 3rd round. Horrible performance by him. Even when he had him up against the cage, thought maybe he'd do a little bit more there. Did not have the strength. I mean, this guy needs to eat more and get a protein shake in him or something, because God's sakes, he looked horrible. Terrible performance for him overall. But again, whether he gets his butt kicked or whether it's a close split decision loss, we still lose the same amount of money. So overall, that was my first losing night since February 5th. And we lost about 1% of our bankroll. So can't complain overall. Went 1-1 at client plays. Didn't help that Nunes overall just could not put away Spencer. She went out there and just pounded the hell out of her. Could not put her away. That was also a free play there that I thought that she'd be able to actually go out there and get that knockout. Surprised the corner didn't stop that either. But either way, we went 1-1 on client plays. 51% bankroll increase for my clients overall. Can't be upset about that. So let's get into the 3 free plays that we're going to talk about for this Saturday night. And the first one we're talking about, of course, as I was saying, was going to be the main event of the evening between Jessica Eye and Cynthia Calvillo. Now, you got the line currently, it's a pick'em. You've got Eye minus 110. You've got Calvillo roughly around the minus 106 range, somewhere around there. Now, what I always like to do is go down 3 of each of their past fights, break it down, see what we see what we like, if one fighter can expose something that the other fighter has open there, and where there are vulnerabilities, and at the end of all of that, does it make sense to place our bet? Are we in a good spot to make some money? So we're going to talk about that now. I do have 2 plays on this fight, so let's get into it. So the first person we're going to talk about is Jessica Eye. Now, 3 fights ago, she fought Katlyn Chookagian. And Chookagian here, you know what, I'm not too high on Chookagian overall. I mean, she did, she's shown a couple decent performances as of late, but in this fight with Jessica Eye and Chookagian, it was a close fight. There was no doubt about it was a close fight. There was a lot of exchanging going on. Mostly it kind of looked like a boxing match. Both of them are kind of just standing and trading. Nobody was really kind of going on the outside, looking to clinch, looking for the takedowns. Pretty much a standing fight. And the one part about this that I really thought that happened was, Jessica Eye definitely has the boxing. I guess is pretty much her main tool that she uses. So this fight was really set for her to win. And just the way that she stylistically matches up against Chookagian. And in this fight here, Chookagian was piecing her up. Chookagian was landing some shots, moving in, pressing, even in spots where I thought that Jessica would actually look a little bit better. She actually was taking some damage. This was a fight that was a split decision loss. I'm not going to get into this fight too much, but a split decision loss here. And it's interesting because I actually felt easily that Jessica Eye lost this fight. It was a fight again, split decision, so of course it could have went either way, but I easily had 2 rounds for Chookagian in this fight, which is interesting because, we'll get into the next fight, but this was a fight that got her the opportunity to go out there and fight Shevchenko in the next fight, so we'll talk about that in a minute. But there you have it. Chookagian does not get the victory. Jessica Eye goes out there, works from the outside, gets a very close decision win over Katlyn Chookagian. And then 2 fights ago, she fought the one of the GOATs. You've got Shevchenko and you've got Amanda Nunes as basically the 2 of the best female fighters out right now. And she went up against Valentina Shevchenko. And this was a fight here where the line was massive. They were spread apart completely. Everyone's talking about this is one that we had Shevchenko via knockout. And this was a spot here where everywhere you turn in this fight, that Shevchenko has the absolute advantage in every spot. When you're talking about standing, striking, combinations, working the clinch, every spot you're pretty much giving the easy advantage to Shevchenko. In this fight here, I mean, early on, you just saw that, the one thing that Jessica Eye has, yes, again, her boxing is kind of the thing that she kind of looks towards, but her combinations are very simplistic. I mean, she goes out there, throws a 1-2 combination and looks to kind of dip out, fade, and then move back in. And somebody like Shevchenko can pick that apart every day of the week, and it's almost like she doesn't even hide it behind anything. Not that she's, maybe throwing a leg kick and kind of working her way inside, trying to close that distance a little bit. This is spot here, Shevchenko in that first round worked a lot of body kicks, hammered some body kicks, worked some leg kicks, and pretty much this was a complete setup for the brutal head kick knockout that she ended up landing on Eye in that second round. And in that fight, I mean, you saw it. I mean, it was a chipping away, and then when she threw the big head kick, Eye basically was covering up her body, covering up her stomach, lands the big shot. Not much to take away from this fight as much because Shevchenko was just on another level. This is a fight that's very tough to take apart and actually kind of take into the fight against Calvillo. But you did see that Shevchenko gets the knockout victory, and that is a loss for Jessica Eye. And then most recently, she fought Viviana Arguello, and Arguello is a tough fighter, a young fighter who has 3 fights in the UFC. This would be her 3rd fight, and this is a fight here I think you could take a lot more going into the fight against Calvillo this Saturday night. So this was her 3rd. This was Arguello's 3rd UFC fight, and Vivian has some great striking. I mean, for a girl that's definitely younger when it comes to within the UFC and in her career, she definitely has some great striking, good movement, good circling. I like her footwork. I think that she doesn't really, she definitely has some takedowns too. Also, there's a lot of good parts to her in this fight. And this is a fight that you would kind of go towards Arguello if you're looking at this onto a betting perspective. You're kind of looking at her. The price is pretty good on her. But this is a fight here where early on, once again, you do see that Jessica Eye has, when there's those fighters that she faces that have takedown ability, she definitely is susceptible to that. And you see it here against Arguello, who does not have the takedown ability like Calvillo does. But you did see early on, right away, a quick takedown for Arguello in that first round. Definitely you saw Ai was able to get back up and kind of work to her feet and kind of work from the outside again. But the pressure was there, the takedown ability was there, and you saw that, and Ai was able to start to work and land from the outside a little bit. But again, the striking for her, not very high level. Just not very high level overall. But you did see that in that fight. Again, later in that second and third round, Arguello again worked some takedowns, puts the pressure on, and then ended up kind of keeping her there in that spot. Good top control. I thought this was another fight that was very close for Jessica Eye, that maybe she could have lost the fight. Very, very close in certain spots. Again, depends how you're really, kind of gauging takedowns. Are they very high? Are they very low? Kind of depending on that. But in this spot here, Arguello, I thought she looked good. Jessica Eye does get the unanimous decision victory here, but the part that I think you take away into this is that Arguello has some good striking, but she was able to get inside. And if you can cut that distance, I don't think that Jessica Eye has the greatest footwork. Again, she kind of stands in front of you. She's looking to brawl. She has that brawler mentality. And somebody like Arguello, who is a little bit lighter on her feet, but was able to close that distance, I think that's something that could be exposed going into Saturday night. So in that fight there, you did see that Jessica Eye did go out there and get that victory. And then on the other side, you've got Cynthia Calvillo. She is a minus 106. 3 fights ago, she fought Paulina Boteo. And Paulina right here, this was a spot, actually was a client play. We did have Calvillo. She was roughly a minus 130, 140, if I'm correct. We did have Calvillo as a client play. She did get us to win here. And Boteo, she has definitely got another girl who I think that kind of fits into what's going to happen Saturday night. Again, because of what that Paulina brings to the table. Now, she doesn't have the greatest takedown or takedown defense, but she's got great striking. And now this is something that you can see, that she's got good striking, good kicks, good footwork, same kind of thing. She mixes it up pretty well overall. But the big part about this is definitely going to be what Calvillo did to shorten that distance. And she's willing to take a shot. I mean, Calvillo is definitely willing to go in there, brawl it out, just to get her hands on her opponent. And that's something she has to do when she's going to be fighting somebody like Jessica Eye in Saturday night. So in this fight here, I think that, Paulina was able to work a little bit. She looked good. She's definitely, I think, faster also than, with quicker hand speed than somebody like Jessica Eye. But in this fight, it was close in that first round. Going into the end of that first round is when Calvillo able to get that takedown. Top control. Another good spot about Calvillo is that she's got tremendous top control when she's able to get that position. Very good. She's definitely patient in those spots. Not looking to just say, hey, I'm going to get a quick, I'm here, let me get a quick submission. She's very methodical with the way that she moves from top control. And in this spot, she was able to get the submission victory in that first round. Rear naked choke. And it's a great thing for her going into this fight. Again, this is 3 fights ago. We've got 2 more to go. But this was, again, a spot where you've got a striker against Calvillo, who definitely has better striking than Calvillo, but Calvillo was able to go out there, shorten the distance, get in tight, get the submission victory. So there you have it there, a first-round submission victory for Cynthia Calvillo. 2 fights ago, she fought Courtney Casey. This is a different type of fight. Now, Courtney Casey is definitely a tough fighter, but the thing with her is she's very tough to take down. Very tough to take down. She's big. She's strong. Definitely has a lot more when it comes to that, the size and the stature compared to Calvillo. And going to this fight, you could tell that Calvillo was not going to be looking for the takedown as aggressively, knowing that that's going to drain your energy, drain your cardio. The more you're pushing forward, not able to get the big girl down, it's not going to work. And this is a fight here, I think that Calvillo stepped up a little bit on her striking. And that is going to be very important, again, going into a fight or just continue your career, when you're going out there, you've got to mix it up. And this is a fight here where I think it was close in certain spots, but Calvillo kept chipping away throughout each round. She would almost kind of fake or even just get Courtney Casey to think that there's a takedown. And then from there, she'll be able to go out there, and then she'll be able to kind of work a 1-2 combination, move around, get in tight, work a 1-2 combination. Courtney Casey is not fast by any means, but she definitely has the range, definitely has the length and the strength. And in this fight here, I thought Calvillo fought very, very, very smart with a girl that she definitely knows she's not able to take down and use her best weapon, which is, of course, the grappling and getting to the clinch game. So in this fight here, she goes out there, chips away on the scorecards, gets herself a decision victory there. So Calvillo goes out there and wins by decision. And then most recently, she fought Maria Rodriguez, and this is a fight here I'm not really going to go over too much, but again, kind of the same thing you're seeing here. Kind of the same thing you're seeing where over 3 rounds, very close fight. Another one where Marina definitely is a little bit more well-rounded than some of these other 2 girls that she fought. But again, I thought that Calvillo fought well, got in tight, got the takedowns late, had some nice ground and pound. Marina has some good striking from the outside. I think better striking than I would actually say again compared to Jessica Eye. I don't give Jessica Eye the very high credentials when it comes to striking. But there you have it there. It was actually a majority draw where I actually had Cynthia getting that victory. So there you have it there on that part of it. So with that all being said, you've got this situation here where, putting it all together, you've got Jessica Eye, who is the big boxing heavy fighter. She's tough. She likes to get inside. She likes to mix it up. She's willing to take a shot to get in tight. And the same thing on the other side is that Calvillo is also willing to scrap, get in tight, look to engage, look to scrap. She has the absolute better grappling overall between these 2 females. But I think her footwork and the way that she fights overall has been improving. I think it's very important the way that she now starts to fight. And I think the big part also is her increasing striking volume as well as just techniques overall. And also a big part of it is that Jessica Eye just doesn't mix it up. She's very simple. And a girl like Calvillo comes from a great camp. I think they're going to come in with a fantastic strategy here where you're going to have a girl that's going to be able to go in tight, close that distance, and make it ugly in tight. Now, the part of this now is that it's going to be very tough for a girl to put away Jessica Eye. I know that she got her head, knocked into the next orbit against Shevchenko, but that's Shevchenko. In this situation here, I like Calvillo here. Not only do I like Calvillo, but I also like a method of victory here or how it's going to actually end up here, because I do like Calvillo. That if you've got Calvillo here, I'm placing just any victory because she could sink in the submission victory. I think in the ground and pound, it could be tough for Jessica to get out of, but I'm going to be placing as one of my bets Cynthia Calvillo to win -106. I think it's a great price. I would actually put Calvillo should be up there in the -130, -140 range. I would definitely put her up there. I don't believe that Eye has the ability to really kind of stand there and deal with the grappling for 5 straight rounds. So that is one of my plays. The other play I'm going to be doing is decision. You're getting a price somewhere around the +200, +215, somewhere around there, +190, in that range. I'm seeing all different ranges in there. So generally you're seeing around a +200 range for Cynthia Calvillo to win via decision. I also like that too. I think that's a nice price there because this is a fight where it's going to be grinded out. It's going to be very, very tough. I think both girls are going to be doing kind of the same thing, and I think top control and body control and top control on the ground is going to be very important for Calvillo in this spot here. So I like Cynthia Calvillo to go out there, get this victory. So my 2 plays is Cynthia Calvillo to win straight, -106, as well as Calvillo by decision, which is +215. And those are those 2 there. The other play that we're going to be talking about is the co-main event of the evening between Marvin Vettori and Carl Roberson. Now, you've got Vettori a -220, 225, and you've got Roberson is, +190, +180, somewhere in that range as well that you're getting there. So, going over these 2, real quickly, you've got Roberson, who is a kickboxer, got some power. And 3 fights ago, he fought Glover Teixeira. This is a fight here, and again, I'll try to go over these a little bit quicker. Glover Teixeira, obviously we know the way he is. He's a veteran of the sport, but great grappling. We just saw him beat Anthony Smith, and this was a fight where kind of the same path happened with Glover in this fight against Carl. And this was a fight where early on you saw Carl, you see the explosiveness, you see the power, you see what he brings to the table. But once the distance was closed, once that Glover got his hands on him, once he got him on the ground, there was almost nothing that Carl had overall in just being prepared for grappling in that spot. And that's something that could be a path to victory for Vettori in this fight, but you just saw that he's much more of a kickboxer than he is in the grappling. Glover goes out there, gets the first round submission in that first round, so there you have it there. 2 fights ago, he fought Wellington Truman, and Wellington, this was a fight that was another interesting fight here where I don't agree with how this fight ended. And you've got Wellington here in the fight. Early, again, Carl shows a lot of just dynamic striking, a lot of power, a lot of striking, a lot of movement. And as soon as the fight starts to go a little bit further, you start to see some of the cardio issues with Carl, because a lot of his strikes are high energy. When you're throwing these power kicks, these power spins, these power strikes, it's just going to be draining you compared to some other guys that are not going to be doing those types of movements. And Carl's looking for those big shots. So early, he's a scary guy, and then it starts to drift off. And Wellington was able to go out there, get takedowns, push, get close, get in the clinch, have him up against the fence. And in those spots, you just didn't see much from Roberson overall. He just did not have the ability to kind of break away, kind of move away. And then even in that third round was all Wellington. Took him down, ground and pounded him, on top of him. I think in that second and third round was pretty much all Wellington, but somehow, again, a split decision. This is why we never know who's going to win these decisions. Split decision went to Carl Roberson, but in the situation here, I just thought there was just no way that Wellington should have won that fight. Anyway, that Carl should have won that fight. Wellington easily won the third, thought he won the second, had control of that fight. They give it to him, but that's a kind of a suspect kind of win for him in a spot where, again, you see the vulnerability in the clinch, you see the vulnerability on the ground, and those are the spots in a smaller cage that we're going to see Saturday night. Could be an interesting spot and something that Vettori could take advantage of. And then most recently he fought Roman Kopelev. And against Kopelev, this was a fight here. Kopelev, this was his debut fight. Nothing special here for him. And this was a spot here that actually Carl looked great. UFC debuting fighters never do that well overall. And this was a spot where Carl was able to kind of work from the outside, get his striking, land big shots. And for Roberson, who does not have takedown ability, does not have submission ability, was able to end up getting a submission victory in the third round. So he ends up beating Roberson in that third round. So with that being said, we're going to go over to Marvin Vettori. And in this fight here, 3 fights ago, he fought the impressive, the undefeated champion, Israel Adesanya. Now, this was a fight here that you can take a lot out, I believe, into a fight that he's going to fight against Roberson. Because obviously, Israel Adesanya is the elite striker. And this fight here, you can tell, and just rewatching, you can tell this was a different fighter. This was not the Israel Adesanya that we're used to seeing now, who's knocking guys out, and against Romero and against Whitaker, knocking out Whitaker, and just the striking and the confidence. This was a little bit more timid Israel Adesanya, and someone who wasn't fully ready for the mixed martial arts, I would say. He was a kickboxer, and he started to get a feel for it. And then this fight here, you saw in the first round, Israel kind of was feeling it out. He wasn't very, wasn't as aggressive, wasn't as cocky as he is, and kind of getting the feeling out. And Vettori is a pressure fighter, good boxing, wants to get in your face, wants to get in a brawl. First round was very close. And I would kind of give it more towards, because Israel Adesanya was kind of taking the round off, kind of seeing what was going to be going on with Vettori. In that second round, that's when Israel Adesanya started landing. And Vettori, that's when he started having problems with the range, with the jab, with the striking from the outside, the weird movements and the awkward movements that Adesanya presents in those situations. So the second round was very close. I had it 1-1 going into that third. And in that third, it was, in my opinion, all Vettori. Vettori had multiple takedowns, ground and pound, worked him out completely. So first round was very close. You could kind of go either way with it. I would guess a little bit, but either way you look at it, Vettori in this spot here against someone like Israel, and you know, Israel obviously has better striking than Carl does, but this was a spot here where the forward pressure and not really being able to kind of plant your feet is something that can take away going into the fight against Robertson. So Vettori goes out there. I thought he fought spectacular. Even though he lost a split decision against Israel Adesanya, it was a great showing against a kickboxer and somebody who is susceptible to being taken down. 2 fights ago was against Cesar Vergea. And this was just, not going to dive into this one, this was just an absolute dominating performance from Vettori. The pressure was there. Vergea is a BJJ black belt, and even in the situations where he's got the grappling, he still was unable to really kind of just slow down the pressure and the pushing forward and the volume from Vettori. I thought Vettori looked great there. Really just obliterated him through 3 rounds. I mean, you know, if you take a look at that fight, it was a one-sided fight completely, so we're not going to dive into that, but that was a victory for Vettori. And then most recently, he fought Andrew Sanchez, and this is a fight here, again, not going to dive into this one because Sanchez was a minus 420 underdog. Minus 420, sorry, Vettori was a minus 420 favorite, and this was something we're not going to dive into, but it was a complete domination again from Vettori. Vettori looking for the big shots, landing them completely, pushing forward. Again, the pressure is something you're going to see probably more on Saturday night, so that was a victory for Vettori. So with that all being said, in this spot here, now you've got the line, minus 225. You've got Robertson plus 185 in that range there. And the thing here is Vettori is a tough fighter. He's got the good boxing, he's got the power, but that pressure, and we keep touching on it here, that pressure is very tough for kickboxers because of the fact that they need to really be planted. They're not good kind of being walked down. They're not good off their back foot. They'd like to be the one that's more either at a nice space where they can work their jab, work their kicks, and kind of leave that space open for them to have opportunities to work their combinations. A guy like Vettori is completely willing to get inside of that space and make it more of a scrappy boxing match overall. The kickboxing from Robertson is really great. I mean, he definitely has the power, but he's shown issues with the grappling. He's shown issues with takedowns. And in these spots, you've also seen that he has issues with cardio as well, where you've seen that Vettori has been able to get through 3 rounds and still have the volume, even against guys like Israel Adesanya. And he's had 3 straight fights where all were decisions, and all of them he actually had some pep in his step into that 3rd round. You got to really like that overall. Plus, like I said, with the small cage, I think that's very important. With the small cage, it's going to give more opportunities for Vettori to get in the clinch, to get it dirty, to not allow space, because Robertson really has shown consistently on each fight he needs space to work. Some kickboxers, obviously, not everybody's the same, but this particular guy, I just don't think that he's got much opportunity. Early, I think there's going to be a lot of fireworks. I think Carl's going to look for the big shot like he normally does, and Vettori is going to be able to kind of work through, push, and really work through that. I think you could even see a opportunity for another decision here, victory, but I'm going to go Marvin Vettori here. I'm going to pay up on this one, as well as, again, I think a sprinkle on the decision. Vettori is also a nice spot there as well. I think that they're going to be blasting it, but both of them seem to have pretty good chins, pretty good striking. Could be a close quarters fight and an ugly fight. I'm going Marvin Vettori as my other free play. So those are my 3 free plays for this weekend UFC on ESPN 10. We've got Cynthia Calvillo to win, minus 106. We've got Cynthia Calvillo to win by decision, plus 200, plus 215. It's somewhere around there. And also Marvin Vettori to win, minus 225. Those are the 3 free plays. And again, if we do have, if I don't have the bet review show out on Sunday on my channel, then I will be talking about it again before the prediction show. Just kind of depends on time frame, everything else. But definitely check out on Wagertalk, 3 plays loaded right now. Take a look. It's been a fantastic year overall. Got to keep it going. So there you have it, and good luck on your bets, and I will see you next time on Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show.